Alright, what's up everyone? Craig here at the Weeping Willow Guitar Lessons, and I've got a great lesson for you today. This is Bob Weir's Lost Sailor. So I got to see Bob Weir the other night perform with Wolf Brothers, and they played this song, and what a great tune it is. So Lost Sailor is written in 1979 by Bob Weir and John Barlow, and it was first played August 4th that year at Glen Falls Civic Center in Glen Falls, New York. It was played 4 times by itself before being paired with Saint of Circumstance. The pairing was then played until March 24th, 1986, when Lost Sailor was dropped from rotation permanently. Fortunately though, Bob Weir has revived the song post-dead, and he plays it in many of his bands as well as solo. As I mentioned, it's a staple in the Wolf Brothers tour, and I will say up front that this is a difficult song. It's some advanced Bob. It presents both a challenge physically as well as analytically. Both Lost Sailor and Saint of Circumstance appeared on the 1980 Grateful Dead album, Go to Heaven. Alright, let's check out my demo of this Bobby gem. All right, before we get started, I wanted to talk about a couple of the difficulties that will crop up in this tune. So I said there's challenges both physically and analytically. So by physically, with the fretting hand, there's some challenges with some difficult bobby chord voicings, some creative chord voicings. For example, the very first chord we're going to look at, you have to hold down both the second and third string with your index finger, and then also let the first string open ring. So that's a challenge. A lot of fretting with the fretting hand thumb. And then with the picking hand, there's some hybrid picking, which means picking with both pick and fingers. So if that's something that's new to you, that will present some challenges. As far as analytically, this song presents challenges because the chords can be very ambiguous. And what I mean by that is, depending on what note is in the bass, that can determine a different name for the chord. So as we'll see, for example, G major 7. So then we have a G major 7, and in State of Circumstance, there's a G13, a G major 13, and in the verse, we have a B sus 4. But if the bass were actually a G, it would become a G major 13. So it's things like that that cause some challenges when you're analyzing it or when you're coming up with the names of chords. But I did my best, and we'll take a look at what I came up with. All right, so the intro of Lost Sailor alternates between an F sharp minor 7 chord and a G major 7 chord. Alright, so what gives it this sound is this creative voicing for an F sharp minor 7 Bobby uses. So typically when you see an F sharp minor 7, you'll see somebody play it like this. So if you went F sharp minor 7, to a G major 7, it just doesn't have that same mysterious sound Lost Sailor does. So we play the 6th string, 2nd fret, the root, with our thumb. Then with our ring finger, we play another F sharp, an octave higher. So it's the 4th fret of the 4th string. Then we're playing the flat 3rd, which is the A, 2nd fret of the 3rd string. The 5th, C sharp, 2nd fret of the 2nd string. We're playing both of those with our index finger. So to get those both, you kind of angle your finger a little bit, and the hard part is then our flat 7 E is going to be an open E string, high E string, 1st string. So we have to hold down both the 2nd frets of the 3rd and 2nd string with the index finger, while also letting that 1st string open E ring. Then with our right hand, we're playing the 6th string with our pick. Then we play the 4th string and the 3rd string with our pick. Then we play the 2nd and 1st strings with our fingers, so hybrid picking. So I'm using my middle and ring finger to play those two. So we get this. Alright, and then it goes to a G major 7 chord. So the trick here is then bringing the thumb from the 2nd fret to the 3rd fret. And then we're going to leave, so let's see, then we leave our middle finger on the 4th fret of the 4th string. Then we bring our pinky to the 4th fret of the 3rd string. So we get that typical G major 7, which you play like this. We're not playing the 2nd string, we're just playing the 6th string, 4th and 3rd strings. But instead of playing it like you normally would, we're using the thumb to play the bass. Alright, so this is really the most important part of the song, so really work on getting that together. So we're going to do that F sharp minor 7 to G major 7 3 full times. Alright, and then the fourth time, so this is something that kind of, it varies performance to performance, and Bobby's really been including it recently when he's been playing, and sometimes with the Dead they glossed over it. But play this chord right here, and so we have the 4th frets of the 4th and 3rd strings. I'm playing with my ring and pinky fingers, and then holding down the 2nd frets of the 2nd and 1st string. So the interesting thing about this chord is if the bass were still F sharp, you get an F sharp sus4 chord. But if the bass is a B, you get a B sus2 chord. So sometimes the bass player will play a B and you get the B sus sound. But if not, if the bass player is playing F sharp, you get that F sharp sus4 sound. So either way, it's a suspended sound. It just depends on what the bass is. So that's what I meant by these chords can be ambiguous at times. Alright, so going into the verse, we continue with that F sharp minor 7 to G major 7. And we do that 3 times. Alright, so this next part, to me, I see it just as 2 bars of E minor 7. But again, it just depends what Bobby's doing. So in more recent shows, like with the Wolf Brothers, or when he was playing with Phil Lesh as a duo, he kind of came down here to this E minor add 9 chord. You know it from Pink Floyd Breathe. And he would just kind of arpeggiate it. So we have going 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd string, and then back 4th, 5th, 6th. With the Dead, he would often play this. So again, it's that E minor add 9, and then this. So we have the 4th fret of the 4th string, then the 7th frets of the 3rd and 2nd string. So we're playing F sharp and D and another F sharp. So you can see that is the root and the 3rd of a D chord, or you can see it as the 9th and the flat 7 of an E minor chord. And so to me, it's just 2 bars of E minor, and it just depends kind of how Bobby's coloring that sound in. So we have that E minor add 9, E minor add 9 sound. It just gives it a little more movement, or what he's been doing recently. And then as we'll see when we get to the E minor later in the verse, when he was playing with the Dead, he would also do this move. So this voicing of an E minor, which is out of the C cade shape. We have the E, the flat third, and the fifth, and then another fifth, and another root. So that's 7th fret, 5th fret, 4th fret, open on both the 2nd and 1st strings, to that F sharp, D, and F sharp. So again, that's just moving from an E minor chord to an E minor add 9 sound. So for the 4 bars of E minor in the verse, the 2 we have here, and then the 2 we'll see in just a moment, you can really substitute any of those lines in there. You can go or even Alright, so what we're doing is we're playing an F sharp minor 7, but with the C sharp as our bass. So we have a C sharp, that's the 5th of the chord, F sharp the root, our flat 3rd A, our C sharp again, and then our flat 7. So that's 4th fret of the 5th string, 4th fret of the 4th string, 2nd frets of the 3rd and 2nd strings, held down with our index finger again, then that open E string. And sometimes he hammers on from the 2nd fret of the 5th string, B. And then he goes to this B sus4 chord. So we have B, F sharp, that's the 5th, root, 5th, a B again, then we have a B again because we're playing 4th fret of the 3rd string and open 2nd string, same note, and then E, which is the sus4. And what's interesting about this chord is if you just play B as your root, you have that B sus4 chord. But if the bass player were to play a G, or if you were to add a G, you get a G major 13. So it's that G major 7 chord, and then a 13. And you'll see that chord voicing in Saint of Circumstance. So by playing this B sus4 chord, again, like I said, it's ambiguous, because if you think of the bass differently, you get that G major 13 chord. Alright, so far the verse sounds like this. Alright, now we're going to come back to that E minor add 9 chord. So you can either do it the way the Grateful Dead, or the way he's been doing it more recently. And then we go into the chorus. Okay, so to get into the chorus, we're going to play the 2nd fret of the 6th string, 3rd fret of the 6th string, then A. So the chorus lands on an A chord. As Bobby plays it, it's an A5 chord because there's no 3rd in the chord. So we have root, 5th, root, so that's open, 2nd, 2nd of the 4th and 3rd strings, then 5th frets of the 2nd and 1st string. So we're getting root, fifth, root, fifth, root. All right, so what we have here is we're playing second to third fret on the sixth string again. Then as we play the root, we're also playing the second fret of the fourth string and sliding it up to the fourth fret of the fourth string. Then we're going to play the seventh frets of the third, second, and first strings while we're playing the fourth fret of the fourth string. So what we have here is a D6 chord with an A in the bass. Or you can also think of it as a B minor triad. So B minor, that F sharp is repeated down here. So a B minor triad with an A in the bass. So either way, so we have either a D6 chord or a B minor with the A in the bass. Alright, so second fret of the sixth string, third fret of the sixth string, open. So we play a B minor chord twice, and then lift up the other fingers and just play the second frets of the fifth, fourth, third, and second string. Alright, so this part is tricky. We have the second fret of the fifth string, fifth fret of the fourth string, again, second fret of the third string, fifth fret of the second string, and then second fret of the first string. Alright, so if, again, two ways to think of this chord. If you were still thinking of E as the bass, it's an E minor chord, E minor 9, because you have that F sharp. Or if G is the bass, you've got a G major 7 chord. The chords are very ambiguous. It's just left up to you to decide what you want to call them. So we have Alright, this part's great. So we're back to A. So 2, 3 on the sixth string, A chord. And then we're playing an altered dominant run. So this is an altered dominant 7 chord. And again, here's what it sounds like. So an altered dominant 7 chord is a chord that it's usually a functioning dominant chord. It's a dominant chord that leads back usually to a 1 chord, and it has altered tones in it. So it's, you know, at its core, it's a dominant chord, so root, third, fifth, flat 7, but then it has altered tones, the flat third, the sharp 9, flat 9, sharp 5th, flat 13, all those alterations. So on the transcription, I just labeled it as an A7 altered chord, and that's basically what's going on. But if you look closer at what Bobby's actually playing and try to analyze it, we start with this chord right here. So we have a A bass, then we have our fifth, we have a flat 9, that's our altered tone. Then we have a fifth again, and we have a root. So it's open, second, third, 5, 5. Then you take the pinky off and you have the third fret of the third, second, and first strings. So if you look at these 4 notes, that's actually an E minor 7 flat 5 chord with our A in the bass. And compared to an A note, we have root, fifth, flat 9, 4, and then flat 7. So it's like an A7 sus with a flat 9. Alright, so if you think about dominant chords, and dominant harmony. You can also think about the half-whole diminished scale. And with that scale, it moves in minor thirds. So the notes are all the same as you shift in minor thirds, but the order of the notes change. So using that, so if you think about like a diminished chord, let's take an A diminished. You can move it in minor thirds. So using that same thinking, you see Bobby takes that chord right here, and then he moves that up a minor third and does the same thing. So we're getting more ultra-dominant chord, but this time a different set of notes. So we move up here, we still have the A as a bass, we have our flat 7 making it an ultra-dominant chord, we have our third C sharp making it a dominant chord, then we have our flat 7 again, and this time we have a sharp 9, a C natural. Then we take off the pinky, and we have this G minor 7 flat 5 chord with an A in the bass, and if we analyze those notes, we have our root, our flat 7, then we have our major third, we have our sharp 5, and our flat 9 again. Then we go up here, and we play, this is the 8th fret of the 4th string, 9th fret of the 3rd string, and 10th fret of the 2nd string. We get our flat 9, our 5th, and our root. Alright, such a cool little run. Alright, the chorus. Alright, so the first time through, then we go to this figure. So we're playing an F sharp minor 7 to a G major 7, like the intro, but you know, the melody is different. So instead of, we're playing we do that 3 times. And the 4th time, we do our either B sus2 or F sharp sus4 chord. Alright, so that melody is this. It's F sharp, or 2nd fret of the 6th string, followed by 2nd frets of the 2nd, 3rd string, then the 4th fret of the 4th string, and then our G major 7 chord. So 3rd fret of the 6th string, 4th frets of the 4th and 3rd strings all at the same time. Alright, so this is a good time to note so on this part and the intro, Bobby likes to throw in some little random chord hits. So we have and then for the verse and the intro, we can do Alright, so now we go back to the verse and we repeat everything up from that verse through the chorus part. Then after we get done with Alright, so we go to a B minor chord, play that, strum it twice, then we go to an E minor. So if you think about a D minor chord here, if you don't already know that voicing, think of D minor, but instead of the F up here, we bring it down to the 4th string. So this is a very common minor triad shape. So then take it up 2 frets and you have an E minor triad. So our G, B, E. Then, just like the D minor, we're also taking that top part, we're just repeating the minor third, which is the G. We have it here and here. So B minor, E minor, B minor. Alright, now this part's cool because we're playing an A chord, but with the 3rd in the bass, C sharp. So that's 4th fret of the 5th string, 2nd frets of the 4th and 3rd strings. Then we're playing an A minor, so that's an A with a 3rd in the bass, or A over C sharp. Then we're descending with the bass line 1 fret at a time, so we have the 3rd fret of the 5th string, 2nd frets of the 4th and 3rd. So that would be A minor over C, or A minor with a flat 3rd in the bass. Then we have this E chord, but with B in the bass, so we're just playing 2nd fret of the 5th, 2nd fret of the 4th, 3rd fret of the 3rd. Then we have this B flat major 7 chord. So we have a B flat. So again, this is kind of an unusual Bobby voicing. So normally you would think of a B flat major 7 like this. So let's take a look at it as a C major 7. So instead of playing the 5th, if we were to play the 3rd twice, so we have 3rd fret of the 5th string, 2nd fret of the 4th string, 4th fret of the 3rd string, and then 5th fret of the 2nd string, we would have root, major 3rd, major 7, 3rd again. So since this is a B flat major 7 chord, move that down 2 frets, and then I play that with the 1st fret of the 5th string, the B flat. I play that with my index finger, and you have that nice B flat major 7 chord with no 5th. Then A. So we're just descending the bass line by 1 fret at a time. Alright, so it goes from A to A over G. And then we're playing this melody. So that's 2nd fret of the 2nd string, 3rd fret of the 2nd string, open 1st string. And then you'll remember that from after the first time we played. So we do that 3 times. So we have then again the A to the A over G, and this takes us into the bridge. Alright, so the bridge modulates from F sharp minor to G sharp minor. So if we come up here, we play the 4th fret of the 6th string, G sharp, with our thumb. Then we play a G sharp, 6th fret of the 4th string with our ring finger. Then we have the 4th frets of the 3rd and 2nd strings with our index. So we have this G minor chord right here. So like the intro, we're moving from a minor chord to a major 7. So instead of F sharp minor 7 or F sharp minor to G major 7, since we modulated up a whole tone to G sharp minor, we're moving between a G minor chord and an A major 7. So again, we're going to play it the same way, this chord like this, but with no first string. Then move our thumb up to the 5th fret of the 6th string, and then our ring and index, or our ring and pinky, playing the 6th frets of the 4th and 3rd strings to get our A major 7. Alright, so we're starting with that G sharp minor chord. We're going to play the bass note and the 2nd string at the same time. And then we play the 4th fret of the 3rd string, 6th fret of the 4th string. Then we're going to use our middle finger and play the 5th fret of the 2nd string. So this gives us an E triad with a G sharp in the bass, or an E with a 3rd in the bass, E over G sharp. Then we're going to play the A major 7 chord, then followed by the 6th fret of the 4th string. So we actually only do that 3 times. Then we go to a B chord. In recent years, Bob's been playing the B chord down here at the 2nd fret, but back in the Grateful Dead days, it seems like he played it up here on the 7th fret of the 6th string, and then we have the 9th frets of the 5th and 4th, and then you can add the major 3rd, or just play it as a B5. Then we're going to go up here to A, so we have an A5 chord, so A, E, A. Then he adds the 9th fret of the 3rd and 2nd string. So again, we're getting a A major 7 chord with no 3rd, and this is a very interesting and creative Bobby voicing. You don't see that very often, at least I don't. So we have, then back to this part. Do that twice. Then the 3rd time we're having this ascending on the 2nd string, so we have G minor 7, E with the G sharp in the bass. So that's going from the 4th fret of the 2nd string, 5th fret of the 2nd string, 6th fret of the 2nd string. So now we have a G minor 6 chord, and then G minor 7 at F sharp. Again, that's an interesting way to play G sharp minor 7. Very creative Bobby voicing. Then back to this, that descending bass figure. But this time, instead of just playing them as half notes, we have this rhythmic figure, which is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Alright, so when we get to the B flat major 7 chord with no fifth, so depending on the performance, the show, the band, you know, Bobby will hold that out at varying lengths. It's just kind of like a fermata, just holds it until he's ready to go. So on the demo, I made that a bar of 6/4. Then go into our A over G, then our F sharp minor to G, major 7, that melody, and our sus chord. Alright, so then we have guitar solos when there was a guitar soloist, so we'd go back to the verse and we'd play that. Then we'd get to the chorus and Bobby would start singing again. Then back to the B minor. Alright, so the ending of the song, Bobby just kind of starts strumming through it. It's this chord progression repeated. A to A over G, to F sharp minor, to G major 7. Alright, and so you can just repeat that as long as you want, and that's basically what Bob did when he was with the Dead. Seems like more, and you know, add some flourishes. Alright, and more recently he's been doing some other stuff too, which is kind of cool. So again, we'd have that. So we just hammer on and pull off from the 2nd fret of the 2nd string, 3rd fret back to the 2nd string. So we're playing that A5, so it's an A chord with no 3rd. So open 5th string, 2nd frets of the 4th and 3rd, then 5th frets of the 2nd and 1st, and then we add that G on the 3rd fret of the 6th string, but we leave the rest of the chord there. And that's cool. And then in the last couple of years, it seems like Bobby's been adding this, which I think is really cool. Alright, so we have an A5 chord. This is, a famous Bobby chord because it's very ambiguous. You can play it for a major chord, you can play it for a minor chord. So we have A root, which is the 7th fret of the 4th string, then 9th fret, which is our 5th, 9th fret of the 3rd string, then A, our root again, and that's the 10th fret of the 2nd string. Then we're going to play this, you'll remember from our E minor 7 triad, or our E minor triad. So it's an F sharp minor triad, and we're just going to slide down. So if you think about it, F sharp minor is the relative minor of A major. So we get that A6 sort of sound. And we're sliding down to our E minor triad. So if you're playing that over a G bass, you get a G6 chord. Then we're going to play our F sharp minor, and then our G sharp major 7. And again, you can let the 2nd and 1st open strings ring out. Give yourself a G major 13 sound. Alright, tough tune, but a lot of fun and really cool to play. So, hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you next time.